Just kidding. This is the world according to Jen and Carolyn. Happy Friday.
Thank good God. I was going to say thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus. It's Friday.
Thank you, whoever brought us here.
I know. It's a mystery, but it's not a mystery to the people that we're going to be discussing today, or at least they wield religion and God, the idea of God, like a weapon against women.
Yes.
So we're talking tonight about the masculinist revival, Christian nationalism, patriarchy, and the politics of regression. Like, this feels really heavy right now, as it should.
Is, but I think I'm just punchy enough where I think this our humor will come out.
It will. Absolutely. Well, I mean, these people should be made fun of. And as I've been saying through this entire administration and through Trump 1.0, this shit would all be really funny if it weren't extremely frightening.
Right.
As it plays out in actual action and policy.
If they didn't have access to, I don't know, guns and weapons
and legislation. Legislation is like the scariest thing. And it's so sad to think, like, one of the primary weapons that we have, one of the only weapons we have, are the courts. So we are,
you
know what? I wish that the mainstream media was highlighting more how the courts are doing a good job at pushing back.
It's very much so.
Because it makes me feel hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, someone's got my back. Like, oh, this person was nominated or put in their place by a Republican, and yet they're pushing back against this Republican president. I mean, he's
absurd.
His own thing.
Those
like
those are two oxymorons, right?
Well, I mean, and it's even people, judges who have been nominated by Trump have pushed back
totally
and have disagreed. I mean, look what the Supreme Court did in terms of the tariffs,
right?
And now they're on a shit list, of course. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but I say this to say, like, there is some hope out there.
Yeah.
The courts, the federal courts in particular, are one of our hopes. So please look up recent rulings if you want to feel like the world isn't just going to explode into a ball of, like, feces on fire.
It will anyway.
It will anyway.
Of the environment.
Yeah, we're just accelerating it.
I'm pretty sour to what is happening.
Yeah, I think I am too. So I definitely am. So this cheers. Happy Friday. This is why I drink. I say that all the time.
It does take the edge off, doesn't it?
It does. And I need it. I need it to dull my senses.
And we're of age.
We're doing this responsibly.
Absolutely.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about this movement that's spent years operating on the political and cultural fringe, but now it's become super mainstream in conservative politics and religious institutions, online radicalization spaces, which you and I have talked about extensively, and even parts, unfortunately, of the federal government. Mm-hmm. So it's called the Masculinist movement. I had never.
So dumb.
I know, it's so ridiculous. Oh, you're so masculine. No. No, you're not. You're a bitch. You're a bit like Stephen Miller. You're a fucking bitch. So we had never called it this, but of course we've been talking about this ad nauseum for as long as I can remember. But
people call it toxic masculinity.
Yeah, totally.
Patriarchy, all these things.
Authoritarianism. Yeah. Authoritarian traditionalists, online misogynists, white identitarians. That's a new one. White identitarians. That sounds way too mild. Can we just call them Nazis?
Yeah,
because that's what they are. All right. And reactionary political influencers, they're united by this common belief that modern democracy, especially gender equality, has weakened society, undermined men, and must be reversed. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We have rights.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
And sorry you're so insecure that us having rights feels like an infringement on you and your actual legitimate dominance of our society, because you still dominate our society. Carolyn, as I said, we have talked about this extensively, but now we've decided that we needed to dedicate an entire episode to this alarming movement, right?
Feels more, I don't even like calling it a movement.
Well, I do, because then it sounds like a bowel movement.
Bowel movement. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It's
Whenever
a movement.
you say movement, I think of a shit.
They're just the BM, as Grandpa would have called it.
I hate when my mom calls it that. I think that's so creepy. It makes me feel weird.
It's just very old school.
A BM? Did you make a BM today?
I just take a dump. Just take it dump. This is a dump movement. This is
I'd like to refer to it as an alarming movement of shit.
Yes. Fecal movement.
Fecal movement. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely simply not just quote traditional values, which I don't even know whose tradition, whose values, right? But it includes public advocacy for repealing women's voting rights, dismantling feminist legal protections, subordinating women socially and politically. I think it definitely criminalizes LGBTQ plus identities and replaces pluralistic democracy with explicitly Christian governance, which last time I checked, we're supposed to have freedom from religion. And not be ruled.
It's freedom of and freedom from. Like freedom from, like if we choose not to believe,
cool.
Nobody should infringe upon us and our beliefs or lack thereof.
It's just so bizarre to me that the majority, all of this is from Bible shit, which don't even get me started on the historical inaccuracy and man-made. It's basically a dude's fucking journal that, I mean, do you want my journal from when I was going through shitty
Can you imagine if our
law.
country were governed in accordance with our fucking journals? That would be amazing and also really fun.
Well,
it would
if
be
I
a light
hate you,
fun
you would
society.
die.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God. Your burn book.
Basically.
You were like Steve Buscemi in Billy Madison. He's like his people to kill list where he's putting on the red lipstick.
I'm not as mean. I'm more sad I'm more sad sack in my journaling.
I was very much a sad sack too.
And I'd be playing like, you know, Enya and Ani DeFranco and like writing bad poetry.
Bad teenage poetry. It's my favorite.
A candle.
See, that's way better than this.
Right?
But
that's how I stress-induce impaired cope.
And I this is no shade against those who interpret the Bible in a loving way that makes them want to embrace everybody, not hate. This is a disgusting like interpretation of the Bible that isn't even rooted in like literary accuracy.
And it wasn't written in English.
No.
Yet it's all been interpreted, right? I could go. Anyway,
well,
that's another episode.
Yes.
We've written that. We have written that.
We have written that episode.
We haven't done it yet.
We go off on tangents, which is another hallmark of being elderly, but at least they're progressive tangents and not like.
I think people enjoy it. I've been told.
I hope so. I hope so. So, you know, one of the most important figures in this like masculinist bullshit world is this guy named Pastor Douglas Wilson.
He's not a pastor.
He's not really
We're
a
not
pastor,
gonna call
huh?
him that. He's not ordained. He never went to seminary. He is a self-proclaimed. It's like, today I'm a fairy princess.
Oh my God. Even my husband's ordained to be able to perform wedding ceremonies.
He's going to officiate at my wedding.
Yes. Yes. And my husband has more like pastoral clout than this motherfucker. Apparently,
like I have more pastoral clout. At least I went to fucking religious school. This dude's like
you do
grifter.
Yeah, you've got a lot of religion under your belt. I don't know how you fit all that religion under one belt because you've been exposed to a multitude of beliefs. So this motherfucker, he's the founder of the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches, or CREC, who you're cracky, bro, who openly supports patriarchal governance and has advocated for repealing the 19th Amendment, which is the constitutional amendment that gives women the right to vote. Let me tell you something. I am not a fan of evangelicals. I'm going to say that here and now. Everyone that I've met from that particular brand of faith is incredibly repressive and anti-LGBTQ. My ex-husband, his family was evangelical. When they came from Guatemala and got here, all of a sudden they turned from Catholic to evangelical. And it was some of the most hateful ideology I had ever heard. They would slip like Jesus pamphlets into my purse while I was asleep. They would say terrible things about queer people. And then my ex told his parents, do you know mom or Jen's mom's gay? And they're like, oh, really? And they kind of curbed it, but still, it was like they were praying for me more because I had been subjected to a queer upbringing. It was crazy, man. Anyway, not a big fan of the evangelicals, and they are a huge cornerstone of Trump's support system too. Fair. So, not a big fan. Anyway,
Jerry Falwell.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jim Baker.
Yeah, I don't know if they're specifically. I think they're evangelicals.
And it's always grifting and fraud and taking something that I think is and can be inherently good.
Yeah.
And it's cult-like and it's manipulative.
Yeah.
And it's about money.
Yeah, it really is. And to see like my ex's parents who lost their home due to foreclosure in 2008 when everything tanked, and to see them still tithing 10% of their income and the church making them feel obligated to do so when they were enduring such financial hardship, to me, I'm like, Jesus wouldn't have wanted that.
I don't think so either.
Not the Jesus that I believe in.
It's so, I was walking in Golden Gate Park and I saw these two girls, like maybe a half a block away, and they looked kind of like farmy. Like they were
like
off
prairie,
little prairie, little hobby core, prairie core.
Prairie core.
And also like just like are what's their deal? Are they on drugs? I don't know. They were a little odd. And they were like, and so they walk up to Mario and I and they're like, can we bother you for a second to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus? And Mario just like looks at me because he knows I'm going to say something fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, which Jesus? And they were like, what? And I was like, good Jesus? Middle Eastern Jesus? Palestinian Jesus?
Dark
or
Jesus?
Like
or
evangelical?
Blue-eyed Jesus.
Jesus.
Fake
and
Jesus.
And Mario's like, let's just go because he hates shit like that. And he's like, we're going. And I couldn't stop talking about zingers that I wanted to say to them.
So good.
But it's true. And I'm like, thanks for your work. Like, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck, ladies.
Good luck in San Francisco. You're going to need it. So this motherfucker, let's go back to this specific motherfucker, Doug Wilson. His influence extends beyond theology podcasts and Idaho church networks. Stay in Idaho, bitch. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as we know, has publicly associated himself with this dude and his church.
Strange.
He attends a church affiliated with this movement.
Of course he does.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. This episode will explore, we're going to talk about the rise of masculinist ideology, its connection to Christian nationalism, our least favorite thing in the world, the radicalization pipeline of online male grievance politics, which we've talked about extensively. Go back and listen to our episode, which we just did a few episodes ago, about online radicalization and male loneliness, the role of influencers like Nick Fuentes, who we have smashed and trashed repeatedly and justifiably, why attacks on voting rights matter. Come on. Like, if you're looking at it going, oh, it's just people of color whose rights are being attacked, I'm fine.
No.
Next, it's you. Don't make us recite our favorite poem. And the sociological and psychological dynamics driving the movement. This isn't just culture war rhetoric anymore. This is a political project, y'all. This stuff is rooted in Project 2025. This is rhetoric and ideology that's being embraced by people who are in leadership positions. It's some scary fucking shit. And if you think that this is all like hyperbole and it couldn't happen, and this is relegated to the pages of like a Margaret Atwood novel, I'm sorry to break it to you. This could happen and actually is happening. Yeah. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be the person who is paying attention too late after all of our rights have been revoked and all of these nonsense policies have been put in place. Don't be that person. So let's talk about what the masculine movement is. So it's not just one organization, guys. It's an ecosystem. Yes. It includes the Christian Reconstructionists, what the fuck, the tradwife people, incel adjacent communities, manosphere podcasts, white nationalist activists, authoritarian conservatives, and certain strains of online reactionary politics. What binds them together is this belief that men are under attack, feminism has destabilized civilization, and liberal democracy has become decadent, and traditional hierarchies must be restored.
I'm sorry, have I been golding the entire White House?
I know.
Is that not decadent?
Right. I know.
Really?
I know. That's like the literal interpretation of tacky and decadent with your Home Depot fucking decor, dirty asshole. And you know he got that shit cheap because the founder of Home Depot, or the dude who runs Home Depot, donated to Trump's campaign. He's a huge Trump supporter. He's like, here's some ugly ass decals. Put them on the wall, dog. I cannot wait for Gavin Newsom, because it will likely be him, getting in there. And don't get us wrong, we disagree with some of what Gavin stands for, or has said at least, but we understand strategy and getting in and then torching the earth, scorching the earth. Like I know. I don't either. When you have people like Tom Steyer, who's like,
I want AOC.
Just embracing everybody. If he made her his running mate, can you imagine how fucking dope that would be? But anyway, he's going to go in there. He's going to tear all this shit off the wall, and he's going to scorch the earth, and heads are going to roll. Anyway, so, you know, the worldview of this shit often frames equality itself as unnatural. So women in the workforce, women voting, LGBTQ rights, that is all unnatural and an evidence of our civilization in decline. So the movement presents itself as a restoration project. We got to put men back in the driver's seat, as if they're not already. So, but critics argue it's fundamentally anti-democratic because it treats equality as a threat rather than a foundation of citizenship, which is exactly what we think. So, Carolyn, I think sociologists have a word for this shit, right?
Yeah, it's often described as a status threat reaction.
Okay.
Whenever a dominant group perceives declining, and again, perceives, perception is everything, because their perception, I get why they see this. It's just not our reality we're living in, which is why. Anyway. So social control, some members respond by not adapting to pluralism, by attempting to restore older hierarchies. That restoration impulse is central to masculinist ideology. All right, so let me give you the clinical and the sociological frame at the same time, because they're actually the same thing. Okay. So I've talked about this gentleman before, Terrence Real. He's an LMFT. He was one of, I would say, kind of a very important voice on male psychology. In the last 20 years. Work, I would actually be really, I think it's similar to work that people of color and indigenous people have done as well. And he's very good at bringing it back to that. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to talk about him and the book I Don't Want to Talk About It, which is a phenomenal book.
Is it about race?
It's about patriarchy. And it's about male loneliness and male, a lot of what we're talking about here. Got it. Basically, if you're turning that outward, it looks like rage, violence, and homicide. When you turn that inward, it's loneliness, depression, and suicide.
The way men are socialized.
Exactly.
And how they reconcile feelings. Well, and not all of them, but
he's a very important voice on male psychology, and argues that, and was taught by two wonderful women, Tia and Melody, and I can't remember the other chick's name, from the Meadows out in Arizona, but argues that his foundational work is that patriarchy doesn't just harm women, it amputates men.
Oh, dude, that's bell hooks too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. It severs boys from their emotional lives. It severs boys from their emotional lives before they even know what's happening. So, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he says, before boys learn to read, they've already read the Stoic code of masculinity and are conforming to it.
Yeah.
And the code demands are simple and very devastating. Perform strength, suppress vulnerability, equate your worth with production and control and dominance. And then when that performance starts to feel impossible, when the economic ground shifts, when the social order changes, when the certainty evaporates, so pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, age of anxiety, the nervous system goes into a threat response. And here's what's clinically important. That threat is actually real to these guys. And their pain, I do believe, is real. And they are, but the explanation men are handed, and that handing is diabolical. And it's intentional, is these movements are a lie. They're told the source of their pain is not capitalism. It's feminism. The source of their pain is diversity, modernity. Modernity. Sounds like Moderna.
The modern world.
The modern world. You don't like toilets? You don't like working water?
They just don't like women in the workforce. They love toilets.
Well, you can't have both. You can't hate Mexicans and then go eat out at Mexican food. I think who you vote for should dictate where you get to go.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
You know what? You don't get to go to a zoo. because zoos celebrate diversity and animals and don't give
and they
a
believe
shit
in
about
climate change.
Right. And so you don't get to go.
That's why the animals have to live there, because their habitats have been fucking destroyed.
So no fun for you. No fun in your manosphere.
No zoo for you, asshole.
Yeah, exactly. So
go take the red pill. Get out of my zoo, you bitch asshole.
Go live in your own manosphere of pain.
Manosphere of Pain. That's my new band name, Manosphere of Pain. Thank you very much.
I want it to be Manosphere of Menstruation.
We're Manosphere of Pain. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. So again, it's not the patriarchal system that conditioned them to have no other tools for navigating loss. It's what sociologists call status threat reaction, like I said.
Yeah.
And its core, it's a trauma response, and it's being weaponized.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how we always say, like, I feel sorry for the child of who's the serial killer. I feel sorry for that child within them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't eliminate what they're doing.
I feel sorry for the way they were socialized, or the way that men are socialized. And I feel sorry that there are so many traps online to capitalize on that isolation, and then turn that isolation into rage against specific people and parties.
And you can bring this back to, I feel sorry for the parents who are struggling probably very hard, maybe single parents, don't have resources, don't have access. They're not supervising.
No. Nope.
So.
It's true. And I'm not supervising my child. I can hear him upstairs. He's just moving around.
Okay.
He didn't want to hang out down here. My husband's at a birthday party tonight that I was too tired to attend, because we have to go to a wedding tomorrow. I can't do 2 nights in a row. Like, that is just too much at 45. And my kid, we offered, hey, would you like to come sit down here and silently play on your iPad while Auntie Carolyn and Mom record? Or would you like to stay upstairs? He chose to stay upstairs. He's a very self-monitoring child. Yeah, only child.
Very self-sufficient.
He's 8 going on like 18. So anyway, so Douglas Wilson in this theocratic patriarchy. So he is one of the clearest examples of how religious patriarchy merges with political authoritarianism. He's in Moscow, Idaho, but
they call it Moscow. Stop.
It's a sister city.
European names.
Well, there's sister cities everywhere. Like,
really?
Dublin in California is the sister city of Dublin in Ireland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anyway.
I don't know why that
taught you something about civics today.
I was like, they're in Russia?
Anyway, this shit is based in Idaho, but he has this extensive institutional network of churches, schools, publishing operations, media platforms, theological training programs, and he openly identifies with Christian nationalism. So in interviews and public statements, he has supported repealing the 19th Amendment. He
supports marital rape.
He supports that. He supports, instead of the 19th Amendment where women can vote, household voting, where husbands effectively cast the vote on behalf of their family. His argument is simple. The family is hierarchical. The husband leads the family. Therefore, political representation should flow through males who are the heads of these households. So, Carolyn, talk to us more about how, like, Wilson's intellectual lineage runs through, like, this theologian that you named here.
Well, I'm really interested. I love nihilism.
Yeah, nihilism's great.
It is kind of cool. Atheists, we love, or anyone, I don't know. It's just, it's fun. It's fun.
It's very goth. It's very metal to be nihilist.
Yeah.
And a misanthrope.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm probably, these are funny names though. But so Wilson's intellectual lineage runs directly through this guy, Rusas John Rushdoony, who I will be referring to as Rushdoony.
RJR. He's RJR.
I like Rushdoony better. The founding architect of Christian Reconstructivism. And he wrote this book called Institutes of Biblical Law. In 1973, and he argued that Old Testament civil law should govern modern society, including explicitly the death penalty for homosexuality and adultery. This is not fringe theory. This is not some forgotten corner.
Yeah.
Southern Poverty Law Center concluded that Wilson's theology, in their words, was, quote, in most ways indistinguishable from basic tenets of Christian Reconstructionism. So who influenced Rushdoony? Someone named Robert Dabney, a Civil War chaplain to Stonewall Jackson. So you know where I'm going with that. He spent decades after the Confederacy arguing that the South was a godly remnant being destroyed by secular Northern rationalism. He's explicitly, virulently racist, and this is like KKK shit. And his ideas fed directly into this tradition that has infused white identitarianism. I can't even say that.
That's awesome.
Identitarianism.
I guess that's it. Yeah.
All right. So we've got Dabney, Rashtuki, Stupid Wilson, and they treat the colonial. We can't just look at that because in the background is the colonial church.
Yeah.
And it should be the centerpiece because it is the single most powerful reframe that you and I are seeing. It's bigger than the fucking NFL. Wilson is not building something new. He's just looking at this colonial project as a blueprint.
Yeah.
These projects have a working historical prototype, and it's not ancient Rome. It's colonialism. It's the Spanish Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
It's the doctrine of discovery. It's the how do you say this? Incomedia?
Oh, I don't know where you're at. I lost you.
In Latin America. Those were in the 15th and 16th century versions of this. Encomienda. Christian authority merged with state power to justify the subordination of women, criminalization of non-Christians, sexuality, and the erasure of indigenous government and governance, and the theological legitimization of racial hierarchy. Latin American scholars, the liberation theorists, they have spent decades documenting the colonial church's function as an apparatus of patriarchal state control. And that is exact architecture of what contemporary Christian nationalism. Yeah. It's over and it's this like never ending shitty merry-go-round.
It's a template that keeps getting reused.
Excavated.
But also at the same time, like you and I are beneficiaries of Jesuit education. And the Jesuits have not always been on the fucking up and up. We know this. Mm-hmm. But in recent years, recent centuries, they have used the Bible and used the teachings of Jesus to defend the most vulnerable, to speak out in favor of social justice. Yeah. You know the church that my kid got baptized in. That is a church that vocally and loudly embraces queer parishioners. Yeah. My kid got rainbow rosaries for the love of God. We picked that church because they were fine with one of my besties who's a trans man being my child's godfather. So to me, it's just so, it's interesting and frightening to see like the interpretation and I think abuse of religion and the word of God, which I don't really believe it's the word of God, but you know, being used for damage and to fire people up against like the most vulnerable people in our society who are not responsible for the shit that they're contending with. I'm sorry, trans people have absolutely nothing to do with the high cost of your gas and groceries.
Never have.
But capitalism does, bro. Yeah. I read recently, this is fucking incredible, that the cost of a barrel of oil, I don't remember the year, but the current cost of a barrel of oil, I think, is the same as it was in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. But now the oil companies, the oil conglomerate and OPEC are using what's going on in Iran. And I'm not saying that there's not an impact, but they are artificially inflating the cost of oil because it benefits them.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
So, you know, God.
Here's the dynamic, though. Let's break this down to like nuts and bolts. The church you're talking about uses love, not fear,
and not hate.
And every love in the absence, fear is an absence of love. Love is an absence of fear. Yeah. So I think any ideology that uses fear, any parenting even that uses fear as the only motivator versus love, to an extent, right? Yeah. But you still have to have rules. But you know what I mean?
Rules are important, but they don't need to be based in like fire and brimstone fear.
Well, so that's the difference. And I even personally, my interpretation of Bible is God uses a lot of fear and death, and murder and genocide and pestilence.
It's also thousands of years ago, dude.
It's a fucking story.
It's a story, and we can derive like parables and interpretation, and we can
It's like
discuss an
Grimm's
interpretation
fairy tales.
ad nauseum. But the reason why this country was founded, and I'm burping up Chinese food and it's disgusting. I know, and it's gonna get caught on this like mic here. But the reason why this country was founded in part was a pushback against monarchy and against like theology, or against an imposition of a certain type of religion.
Ideology against what? Manufacturing money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like Western society, and even a lot of European society, has figured out a way that there's enough for everyone, and it can be equitable.
Right.
It doesn't have to be feudal.
Don't get me started on how quickly in our society the disparity between how much a CEO makes compared to that person's employees. How quickly that has become like a massive gap compared to 25 to 1 in 1965.
But let's all have a happy hour on Friday and do team building. Fuck your team building.
I know. I want to tear this motherfucker down.
And fuck your stupid newsletters.
Where's my team? Where's my team building where I burn this motherfucker to the ground? Because that's the kind of team building I'm interested in.
Oh,
Anyway,
I hate it.
Let's talk about Pete Hegseth very quickly.
Cheers.
The normalization
Let's get drunker if we're going to talk about
extremism. Oh, I know. Well, he'd appreciate that. He'd probably want to party with us until he found out what our ideologies were.
Yeah.
So one reason Douglas Wilson matters nationally is because of his proximity to political power. Pete Hegseth politically aligned himself with this motherfucker. The Pentagon later clarified that Hegseth supports women's right to vote. Yeah, okay, whatever. But the controversy wasn't simply about whether Hegseth personally supports repeal. It's about normalization.
Right.
He's normalizing this. So, Carolyn, quickly talk to us about the psychology of how democracies erode. And we've covered this before, so spend like a minute or two on it, tops.
Well, political scientists warn that democratic erosion rarely begins with just these dramatic coups. It doesn't really come out of nowhere. No. It kind of feels like it.
Yeah.
It's normalization.
Yeah.
Legitimizing extremist rhetoric, weakening democratic norms, reframing authoritarian ideas as reasonable debate.
Yeah.
We see that left and right, literally. And what once sounded unthinkable becomes merely controversial, then debatable, then common sense, and in this news cycle, easily forgotten.
God damn, it's the Third Reich all over again.
It is.
It's propaganda.
All of it. And it's Columbus all over again.
Yeah.
And it's Henry VIII. I mean, it's all the same shit. I feel maybe, never mind. I have a weird tangent. I won't go on. But yeah, Western and European examples, again, are very worthy patterns, but implicitly centering any conversation around Western democratic erosion as a Western tragedy misses the fuller decolonized picture, which is actually more devastating to bringing this back to masculinist ideology. Democratic, women-centered, communal governance structures existed and thrived for eons before European democracy and were systematically dismantled by the exact forces Wilson wants to revive.
I want to be on the island that Wonder Woman came from with all of the Amazons who can fucking fight and do battle and are like, oh, men. Yeah. That's what I want. And it's so sad to say, but because not all men are like this, right?
Men are deliciously lovely.
They are wonderful. They are allies. I get that. We're not trying to throw out the man with the bathwater.
I hate lots of women.
there's a lot of women who have internalized this shit and are just mouthpieces for the patriarchy.
But I like you if you like human rights, like don't hate people for who they are. Hate me for who I am.
Yeah.
How I look.
If you just don't like the cut of my jib, whatever the fuck that old timey phrase means, all good. You're like, I agree with her.
I'm enjoying.
She's too much.
Yes.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. But don't hate me because I think women should have the right to vote.
No.
So, we also want to make the distinction that not all Christian conservatives are Christian nationalists, and that Christian nationalism specifically argues that the United States was founded as a Christian nation. Not true. It should be governed according to Christian principles. Also not true. And that Christianity should hold privileged status in public life. So in these ideologies like men lead women, Christians dominate non-Christians. Traditional Americans outrank outsiders, which is what we're seeing in real time right now. And democracy becomes acceptable only if it preserves the correct social order. So this is why the Voting Rights Act matters. Some people dismiss fears about repealing the 19th Amendment as unrealistic, but what we said earlier matters and is relevant, because what we're seeing right now is the erosion of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was one of the most important civil rights laws in American history. But over the past decade, major provisions have weakened this by Supreme Court decisions, particularly Shelby County versus Holder in 2013. Now, that ruling effectively removed federal pre-clearance protections that had prevented discriminatory voting changes in states with histories of racial suppression. Since then, it's just gone downhill.
Yeah.
So rights are not self-enforcing. We have to make sure that we can maintain and uphold our rights. And we can't be silent. We can't say that this is irrational or hyperbolic or dramatic or fucking extra. This is all, this could all happen.
Do you think, I mean, I know we don't know this, but it's like you think about everything from George Floyd and Tamir Rice, and then I feel terrible. I can't remember the two people's names.
Because there's so many.
There's so many. The two white people who then got shot. The mom.
Oh, good. Renee Good and oh my God.
Right?
Fuck. There's just too many to remember.
Well, but so again, like it's that concept too that I think sort of social news and media and we know Trump is who is that real Nazi guy, Steve Bannon. Like
he is a real Nazi guy.
The real Nazi guy, right? I mean, they all are, but like, again, they're like flooding this thing, like overwhelming people to the point where, like, again, the outrage burns flat.
Yeah.
And then you look at civil rights movement, like that was sustained boycott. Why can't we get that right again?
I think that
it's white people doing it.
I think there are so many reasons. I think that we now, my husband is our producer, is fond of saying, and I think that there's something to it. As long as people have food and the internet / cable TV and I don't know, these creature comforts, they are disinclined to rebel. There's still too much proximity to the people who are oppressing us to be able to say, like, let me frame it a different way. People often think they're in a higher socioeconomic bracket than they actually are. And that's because these minor luxuries are available to even working class people. So I think that's one thing. Also, like the rhetoric. If you are a white man who feels like they're losing status, instead of looking, as you said, at the system being the primary actor, they're going to listen to the rhetoric coming out of the right that says, oh no, it's women. Oh no, it's immigrants. Like we have seen time and time again in human history, not just American history, it's easier to blame the other than it is to think critically about the system that we are all technically beneficiaries of.
And even yourself.
Right.
Right.
And so I think that's the hardest thing. And we're not taught critical thinking in school for the most part.
No.
And we look at red states, for instance. They have the lowest literacy rates, the poorest test scores, the lowest median incomes, the lowest rates of formal or like higher education. And so they become easier to manipulate. I'm really sorry. This is some West Coast fucking elitism coming your way, but it is an accurate assessment of how these people fall victim to this bullshit rhetoric that you and I, having the benefit of growing up in San Francisco and being the beneficiaries of higher education, could poke holes in all fucking day. Those folks, and also they're too busy working.
Yeah.
When you are busting your ass working one hard ass job or two jobs just to keep food on the table, you're frustrated. And you are inclined to believe the bullshit that says, turn your frustration toward these people, this population. Like the people in Kentucky, I think it's Kentucky, who kept voting for fucking Mitch McConnell. It's like, you think Mitch McConnell has ever fucking had your $30,000 making a year ass? Like, he doesn't give a fuck about you. He is about enriching himself and other people with money. But y'all have fallen victim to this bullshit rhetoric that tells you that you matter to him. You don't fucking matter except insofar as casting a vote for this person who gives no fucks about you, who hates you, who wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot fucking clown pole. That is how these people are. Fuck that shit. That's my tangent. Let's talk about the media ecosystem. Bourbon makes me angry, but in all the right ways. So the masculinist movement is definitely amplified by this powerful media ecosystem. We've got podcasts, YouTube channels, live streams, these bullshit influencer awards, religious media, algorithmic recommendations.
Stupid. And then everyone just gets on and talks shit. Yeah. How many people talk shit about the Met? Well, okay, so then put your money where your mouth is and stop following this or this or this or this.
Right. I know. I like the people who showed up at the Met and were yelling at the Met goers. I'm like, that's rad. And they had their own party and it looked way more fun than what was going on in the Met. Way less stuffy. Let me put on a gown and troll the rich. Like, that is my kind of party. So, the media doesn't help. And importantly, many followers, they don't begin as extremists, but radicalization is incremental, as we've talked about in numerous episodes. And the internet is the perfect landscape to lend itself to this increasing radicalization. So, Carolyn, we talked a lot about this in our male loneliness episode, but remind folks why this nonsense resonates with so many men, especially young men. What's going on?
Yeah, let's talk about this movement's growth. It, like you said, you have to understand the conditions that produce despair. You kind of laid that out in your rant earlier.
Yes.
But many, like you said, the loneliness, we've talked about all this, that I talked about the depression, suicide, out inward versus, and that's from Terry Real about this grandiosity versus subjugation.
Yeah.
And the problems are real, but the masculine movement frequently redirects legitimate pain towards scapegoating. Again, you said that. So how do we build healthy communities? How do we restore, how do we build healthier communities? Yes. How do we restore dominance? This distinction matters a lot because democratic societies...
Restore what kind of dominance?
This is what, for the manosphere.
Oh, okay.
For these masculinists.
Got it. Okay.
How do we get this back? And democratic societies require coexistence, but authoritarian movements always have an enemy, even if it's not an enemy within. And so again, what are we evolving towards isn't hypothetical. It already exists in multiple traditions. So Ubuntu Southern African philosophy, articulated by theologian John Mbiti, said, "I am because we are." Around justice, leadership, governance, communal well-being, individualism. Again, I can give you many, and I will do some TikToks on this. But, this is what I think is really interesting because we also know the science isn't ambiguous. We have seen that exclusion is expensive.
Yeah.
And homogeneity is a liability.
Right.
And yet here we are litigating whether or not women should be able to vote. Again. And I think this ambiguity is really what I was talking about before, is like really intolerable for a lot of people. And this pluralism is not weakness.
Yeah.
Pluralism becomes weakness and empathy becomes feminized.
Right.
And this is why the movement overlaps with a lot of what we know as the authoritarian politics and oligarchs. And these ideologies require you to reduce complexity.
Yeah.
So, you masculine men are very simple. They promise order through hierarchy. But this is an evolution paradox.
Yeah.
because most of us are aware and reflect that all of this makes us very angry and frustrated, or at least makes you and I very, I hope it makes other people frustrated. It does. And what makes me really angry, and I think bringing this back to the media, is we have access right now to more connection, more information, more scientific understanding of human psychology and social systems than at any other point in human history. I know. So as we look at all that, what the data is showing is what we're clearly, repeatedly seeing across industries and nations, that diverse, inclusive teams produce more innovations, better health outcomes, more resilient economies.
Look at Costco.
Research literature reviews and they consistently find that organizations and companies that are their own culture, have an above average diversity in management, have higher innovation and revenue.
Fuck yeah.
It links inclusive cultures to outcomes. So like I said, the science isn't ambiguous. So how can it be? Again, this blames me to media and to the creators of this algorithm in Silicon Valley and Mark Zuckerberg and Bezos and all these masculinist, patriarchal white dudes
who are actually pussies, which is hilarious. We got to think of a different word for pussies, because I don't want to denigrate our
their testicles. They're giant,
they're fucking weak
balls.
They're weak.
Balls are weak.
Yeah.
You kick me in the fucking pussy, I still will get up.
Yeah. I will fight you after you.
I will make you toe fuck me.
Bring
bitch.
it on.
Sorry.
Kick me again.
Sorry about that, Mom. All right, I got to talk about this movement that are actually selling young men.
Okay.
The lie of denomination is only this alternative despair that's happening in Latin America. It's called, have you heard of Ni Una Menos movement?
No.
So it began in Argentina in 2015, and it spread across the continent, and it named femicide, patriarchal violence, state complicity out loud in the streets in the millions. And critically, the movement discourse became anti-racist, deliberately decolonializing over time, indigenous women, trans people, Afro-feminist organizations integral to all of this. And it said, we have to call for a cessation of all patriarchal structural violence, not just visible forms.
Yeah.
Not grievance politics. Then the collective nervous system regulation at a civilizational scale. And what they are doing in Argentina, which is also kind of interesting, that's where what's the
Peter Thiel?
Peter Thiel
is going. I just did a TikTok on that.
Yes, you did. And what's the thing they call themselves from the Lord of the Rings?
Oh, Palantir. Yeah. Yeah,
how you say it?
And it's evil. The Palantir is evil.
Well, it's evil.
It's how Sauron or Saruman, the bad wizard, could like look around and fucking do shit.
And who's the other dude who's like besties with Peter Thiel? He's like this like creepy fucking mop-headed dude.
I don't.
Like
all these assholes.
I know.
But you mentioned Argentina. That's where Peter Thiel is moving because
also where hantavirus came from. Just saying.
They're very receptive to millionaires and billionaires who want to flee the United States, coming to live in Argentina. Similarly, like Nazis. Bring all the Nazis.
I don't know. It's not ignorant.
Damn you, Argentina.
But see, I disagree. I don't think we're all just ignorant. I do think behind any privilege is fear.
Yeah.
And specifically the fear that philosophers working in postmodern pluralism and critical theory have been naming for decades, back to Nietzsche. The terror of decentered subject, the terror of the power being shared.
Yeah.
It means yours is gone.
Yeah.
And that's not logic. That's a zero-sum scarcity belief rooted in trauma. And all of these guys have a couple things in common. Military dads don't know where their moms are.
Oh, interesting.
And they're all raised in evangelical Christian
scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. Is that camera still rolling, out of curiosity?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No calls.
That's very good. I can't turn on Do Not Disturb when this phone is attached to my husband's primary phone, but he's at a party right now, so he's not responding to anything. So that's good. Anyway, that makes a lot of sense.
The technology, the research, the relational capacity, we have that now. You cannot say we don't have that.
Yes, but you and I always say this, we are resourced and educated enough to be able to discern between like real facts and alternative facts. Like the internet giveth and taketh away. Like when we talk about when you talk about how we have never had so much legitimate information at our fingertips, a lot of these folks can't discern between what a peer-reviewed study is.
Well, whose fault is that?
Yeah, well, it's the education system, but also
the algorithm.
It's the
Who
system
creates
too.
The algorithm, because
White men.
it all goes follow the money trail.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The algorithm is not independent.
No,
there's a great book,
there's a person behind it.
I've got to think about this. I can't remember who the author is. I have, and I'm going to do a TikTok on it because I keep mentioning this woman's name or this woman's book, and I can't remember her name or the title of the book.
We're tapped today.
I know. Well, I just can't remember anything in general because I'm 45 years old. But the weed definitely doesn't help. But it's all about how. Who do you think is creating these algorithms?
Yeah.
Like, who is at the center of the tech universe?
Right.
It's primarily white men.
Yes.
And a few, like, Indian dudes, primarily. There's not a lot of women. There's not a lot of people of color beyond that. And so the algorithm is going to be reflective of that mindset and those values and that evaluation strategy. And so the algorithm isn't pure. It's influenced by the patriarchy. Mm-hmm. And so that's what people need to understand. So, our final thought on this, because it's time to wrap it up. We're at almost an hour here, and I've run out of alcohol, and I need to keep going until I'm completely slurring my words. I'm just kidding. I'm going to move on to weed. So the final thought here, the masculinist movement is not merely a collection of inflammatory internet personalities. It's an evolving political and cultural project, one that merges patriarchal theology, online radicalization, anti-democratic sentiment, and Christian nationalist ideology. Figures like Douglas Wilson matter because they provide intellectual, in quotes, and theological frameworks for hierarchical politics. And people like Nick Fuentes matter because they translate extremism into viral online identity politics that resonate with a lot of young men. Mm-hmm. And figures connected to institutional power matter like Pete Hegseth, because they normalize ideas that once existed only on the fringe. Mm-hmm. That is what the Trump administration and all its little sycophants are about, normalizing weird fringe shit.
Like drinking Clorox to help cure diseases. I've heard that works, Maga. You should try to
You should do it. You should do it. Yeah, that'll keep you really healthy. Just Tide Pods and Clorox. It's going to help you out a lot.
It really will.
Please, just start before the midterms. Just start digesting a lot of bleach. Yes. It's going to help you. Just trust us. Trust us. Democracy depends not just on laws, but a cultural commitment to equality. Not just equality, equity.
Yeah.
So, remember that this all begins with normalization. And if you're talking to somebody who is normalizing this, that is a fucking trip. I don't know how to get in there and get them to reevaluate what it is that they're saying. I still haven't figured that out. Like, my reaction is still like horror and disgust and rage. And I don't know. I don't know. I know there's a better response.
I don't know what it is.
But I can't. I'm not capable. I'm not capable of formulating any sort of like calm, patient response to this.
I feel like my response is just going to be, oh, and so you're also a pedophile.
Right. Yeah.
No? Oh.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, these are all the same people for the most part that support. And look what happened to Massey. Look what happened to him. He was a Republican who wanted justice for Epstein survivors and went on record and read excerpts of the Epstein files. Mm-hmm. And the Christian nationalist, right-wing conservative machine, he got fucked. Mm-hmm. He got fucked. Like, I don't agree with him on 90% of what he believes. But I agree with him on one thing. People who abuse children should be brought to justice. Mm-hmm. So we've done that episode.
Yeah.
We won't stop doing that episode. I feel like it's time again and I am so proud of all of the people, whether they be elected officials, influencers, journalists, people like us with a small platform, that we have not relented and that we are just consistently bringing to the forefront the fact that the people who did this to these girls need to be fucking held accountable. And that starts with the big orange piece of cheese.
Yeah.
Like him,
Shit.
this motherfucker. Anyway, I need some water. My mouth is incredibly dry from talking. I need water. We are going to end this episode by saying, as we always say, please not follow us, become a part of our community. We're not cult leaders.
No.
We don't have followers. We have community members.
Yes.
And where our community is largest is on TikTok.
Yes.
So we're at TWAT, TWATJC. Follow us there. YouTube is a shit show.
Yeah.
Instagram.
No one likes us there.
No.
We're gonna be doing a lot. I will personally be doing a lot of additional notes on TikTok.
Some TikToks on this. Good. So that's yet another reason to follow us.
Yay.
We appreciate you listening.
Go for a walk. Get off your phone.
We know you're listening. Do us a favor, and when you listen to us, download. That's the only way that we can really measure who's listening. And I know, and I'm the worst person, I need to start doing this. When I listen to podcasts, I don't download them first. I just listen to them.
Yeah,
the only
same.
time I download is if I'm going on a plane.
Yeah, me too.
So just do us a favor. Take that extra step, download, so we can see who's downloading and listening.
Yay.
We love y'all.
We do.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Happy
Or
Friday.
I don't know when we're dropping this. It won't be. Who the fuck knows? Anyway,
Cool.
Bye.